A confused teenage boy wakes in the Seattle woods, covered in slime and with no memory of identity or basic behavior. When a rattlesnake strikes, he catches it mid-air with inhuman reflexes. Wandering, he finds a red tent and startles two teens. Later, he's discovered naked in the city, arrested, and placed in juvenile detention, where he begins learning to eat, feel discomfort, and understand basic needs. Meanwhile, psychologist Nicole Traeger calls her daughter Lori, who hides from her mom after being with her boyfriend. Before Nicole enters, she gets a call about a mysterious boy who needs her help. Back at the center, the boy is attacked by others and experiences pain for the first time. Nicole arrives at the detention center and is told the boy has no belly button. Touched by his situation, she names him Kyle and brings him home. While Nicole is at work, Lori is distracted, and Kyle wanders off after hearing music. He enters a neighbor's house where a girl is playing piano. The melody moves him to tears. Startled when she notices him, he flees back home. Kyle meets Josh, who's sleeping in the tub, then Stephen, Nicole's husband, in his workshop. That evening, Carol Bloom angrily confronts Nicole about Kyle entering her house. While Carol is furious, her daughter Amanda is intrigued, and Kyle is equally taken by her. Carol, sensing this, pulls Amanda away and warns Nicole to keep Kyle at a distance. At dinner, Kyle shouts, "Yo, juice me!" a phrase from detention, then mimics something Lori said about her love life, embarrassing her. Though Kyle begins with no understanding of human behavior, he adapts rapidly. Nicole tests him with an IQ exam. He completes it in 5 minutes and scores perfectly. An MRI shows an abnormally logical brain, but doctors dismiss it as a glitch. One night, Kyle sees Lori sneaking out to Declan McDonough's party and follows her. He tries alcohol and gets sick. When police arrive and Lori risks arrest, Kyle calmly intervenes, using swift, non-violent moves to de-escalate and carry her home. The next day, after seeing Nicole hug Stephen, Kyle mimics it and confesses he often feels scared. Nicole is moved and convinces Stephen to let him stay. Later, when Stephen struggles to recover lost laptop files, Kyle restores them instantly. He bonds with Josh over basketball and discreetly returns Josh's hidden adult magazine. At dinner, Nicole suggests Kyle stay permanently. No one speaks, but all silently agree. Kyle doesn't understand sleep. One night around 1:30 a.m., he roams the kitchen, eating random food, unpeeled bananas, raw eggs, then discovers the TV remote and imitates a martial arts film in Chinese, waking the family. While they clean up, Kyle casually reveals he hasn't slept since arriving. A detective visits about missing persons, but Kyle remembers nothing before the forest. Nicole suspects trauma. A doctor finds him in perfect health, no signs of aging, flawless teeth, and prescribes a sleeping pill. In the waiting room, Kyle completes a massive puzzle, impressing onlookers. Nicole then gives him art supplies. He instantly draws the forest where he woke up. That night, they try tea, a bath, and the pill. Nothing works. Near midnight, Kyle sneaks outside, captivated by the stars. He spots a red pickup creeping by. A barking dog scares it off, and Kyle calms the dog with his voice. Amanda, watching, is stunned. They briefly talk before she heads to bed. Back inside, Kyle tells the family he was watching stars. Josh jokes he's an alien searching for his home, and Kyle takes it seriously. The next morning, the Traegers find him on the lawn, staring at the sky, waiting to be taken back. To exhaust him, Stephen takes Kyle running, but Kyle isn't fazed. Stephen is. That night, though sore, Kyle says his mind won't stop. Fearing he'll wander again, Nicole and Stephen take turns sleeping in the boys' room to watch over him. One morning, Stephen oversleeps and misses a key meeting. He and Nicole argue, acknowledging that Kyle's presence has disrupted their routine. Unbeknownst to them, Kyle hears everything and quietly leaves. The police find no leads. Nicole, recalling his forest sketches, realizes that it might be where he's gone. The Traegers search the woods and find Kyle at the tree stump from his drawings, saying he was waiting for his family. Back home, Stephen tells him not to force answers, just to find what brings peace. Later, they find Kyle asleep in the bathtub for the first time, soothed by white noise from a radio. In the forest, behind the same massive stump, a pale skeleton is revealed lying hidden in the brush nearby. In the morning, the Traegers begin their day. Stephen takes Kyle to his office while the others head out. Nicole gets a call from Detective Breen. Police have found a human skeleton near where Kyle was discovered. Among the remains is a key card with a strange emblem, which Breen shows her. At the office, Kyle wanders into the server room and tampers with the electronics, but fixes everything before Stephen's boss notices. At home, Kyle continues sleeping in the bathtub. While he's drawing there, Nicole shows him the photo of the emblem. Kyle doesn't recognize it. Nicole tells Stephen, police clear Kyle as a suspect. There was evidence of a struggle, but Kyle had no injuries. Meanwhile, the man in the red pickup, spying on the Traegers, has fresh scratches. Josh gets Kyle to take his summer school math test. Later, Kyle wakes up alone, climbs to the roof, and jumps down. Amanda sees him and crashes her new car in shock. Lori lies about supervising Kyle. Kyle, confused by the concept of lying, later hears Amanda worry about the car. Lori urges her to lie, but Kyle encourages honesty. At dinner, the family sticks to the lie. Josh fakes his test score, and Lori pretends she watched Kyle. Frustrated, Kyle tells the truth. He took the test and was alone. Josh and Lori get in trouble and blame him, leaving Kyle feeling awful. Inspired by Kyle, Steven decides to be honest too. He calls his boss and says the employees deserve to know about the layoffs. Later, when Amanda's mom finds out about the car, Kyle takes the blame. Amanda is grateful, but her mom bans Kyle from their home and from seeing Amanda. Back home, Lori and Josh reconsider their behavior. They apologize and make a pact with Kyle not to involve him in lies, but also not to be exposed by him again. The next morning, Nicole and Steven unveil a gift. They've transformed Steven's workshop into a bedroom just for Kyle, complete with a bathtub at its center as a nod to where he feels most at peace. That day, Steven brings Kyle along to his office. At home, Nicole starts hanging Kyle's artwork in his new room and notices a strange pattern. In the corners of each drawing are dark marks. When pieced together, they form the same mysterious symbol from the security keycard found with the skeleton. Kyle dreams of being underwater with Amanda, nearly kissing before she disappears. He wakes, unsure if it was memory, dream, or premonition. The next morning, Detective Breen visits again, curious about the fragmented symbol Kyle repeatedly draws. Kyle says it's just how he saw it in his mind. Meanwhile, the man in the red truck, Thomas Foss, quits his job after 10 years. His company had issued him the same kind of security card found near the skeleton, matching Kyle's drawing. At the pool, Amanda lifeguards while Lori meets Hillary. Josh begs Lori to get a girl's number for him. Steven and Nicole work on enrolling Kyle in school. While Josh and Lori are distracted, Kyle jumps off the diving board and sinks. Amanda saves him, just like in his dream. As she pulls him out, he has an involuntary reaction that causes the crowd to laugh. Back home, Steven must awkwardly explain what happened to a humiliated Kyle. Declan visits to invite Lori to a back-to-school party. Around the same time, Josh gives Kyle an adult magazine to help him handle his feelings. Amanda walks in, sees Kyle's many sketches of her, then catches him holding the magazine. Embarrassed, she leaves silently. To fix things and free up his own time, Josh signs Kyle up for swimming lessons with Amanda. Lori returns the favor by giving Josh the number he wanted. He calls Ashley Redmond but hangs up in panic. Amanda teaches Kyle to swim and he learns quickly. During a break, she reassures him she liked the drawings. Kyle says they felt incomplete. Intrigued, Amanda invites him over to show him something. At home, Nicole tells Steven that Breen found no record of the company tied to the keycard symbol. She's uneasy about sending Kyle to public school. He clearly doesn't fit in. Meanwhile, Tom Foss returns home to find Dennis Bunker waiting. Bunker reveals that Foss's deactivated badge matched the missing Professor Kern's, not his own, and Foss has stolen files on Kyle. Meanwhile, Amanda invites Kyle to her home and introduces him to a more emotional form of art. She shares some of her late father's paintings and quietly opens up. He passed away the previous year. Kyle begins to understand what was missing from his drawings of her. Later in his room, he tries again. This time, instead of replicating her face with mechanical accuracy, he draws from feeling and creates something entirely different. Josh finally musters the courage to call Ashley and sets up a date at Jeff Preston's party. Lori, preparing for the same event, discreetly slips a condom into her purse. Josh convinces Kyle to tag along by promising Amanda will be there. Kyle agrees. He wants to give her the new drawing. Days later, Dennis goes back to Foss's for a second visit meant to collect, and Foss silences the threat permanently, killing Bunker without hesitation. At the party, Josh is lured into a hot tub by Ashley for some impulsive skinny dipping. It doesn't last long. They're caught by the parents hosting the event. Lori pulls Declan aside and sleeps with him. Meanwhile, Hillary, clearly drunk and determined, throws herself at Kyle. Before things can spiral, Lori returns. She rips Hillary away from Kyle. Humiliated, Hillary retaliates by revealing that Declan only asked Lori out because she told him to, mocking Lori for being naive. Later, Declan stands up for Lori when Preston badmouths her. As the night drags on, Amanda finally arrives. Kyle, heart racing, prepares to give her the drawing until Charlie Tanner appears and greets Amanda with a kiss. Lori and Josh, both reeling from their own emotional wreckage, find Kyle outside. Kyle, shattered, quietly drops the picture in the pool. When Kyle says, "Let's go home," rain begins to fall. The first day at Beechwood High arrives. Lori and Josh dread it. Kyle is eager but quickly overwhelmed. He notices students self-segregate by clothes, speech, age, and race. The bell system baffles him. Nicole negotiates with Principal Hooper for individualized tutoring, and Kyle is given placement tests. She promises to return. Kyle starts with history, but doesn't recognize any names or dates. When the bell rings, he abandons the test and follows the crowd. In math class, Lori clashes with Hillary over their matching tops. Hillary passes a rude note, which Mr. Miller catches. He gives Lori detention and presents a semester challenge. Solve a graduate-level problem for an automatic A. Josh lands in remedial English. When Miss Schultz asks Toby Newworth to read aloud, he struggles and is mocked. Josh reads smoothly, but Toby glares. He's made a new enemy. Kyle wanders into Mr. Miller's room, studies the unsolved equation, and solves it. When Mr. Miller returns, he's stunned. At lunch, Kyle heads toward Amanda, but backs off when Charlie Tanner takes the seat beside her. Kyle sits with L.K. Dykeman, a kind but awkward student mocked as Geek Man. Dykeman shares his love of superheroes. Nicole's plans for alone time with Steven are cut short by a sound of breaking glass. Tom Foss has broken in and slipped upstairs. When Nicole finds Kyle's room disturbed, Foss suddenly shows up at the door pretending to be a neighborhood guard. Steven rushes home, suspicious that Foss appeared right after the break-in. He takes down Foss's info for later verification. Dykeman takes Kyle to the library and shows him encyclopedias. Kyle grabs several volumes and begins reading them rapidly. Later, Amanda brings Charlie to the library and introduces him to Kyle. Charlie offers to show Kyle around, but Kyle is stiff. Picking up on it, Charlie jokes that Kyle must dislike him. Meanwhile, Nicole and Steven contact Foss's security company. They're told he's a model employee with military background, nothing to worry about. At school, Josh is attacked by Toby on the stairs. Kyle intervenes. Toby tries to push him down, but Kyle doesn't budge. When Toby swings at Josh, Kyle catches his fist midair. Another punch misses, slamming Toby's hand into the wall. Toby lunges again, but Kyle sidesteps and grabs his jacket, leaving him hanging over the edge. The crowd, especially Dykeman, is stunned by Kyle's reflexes. In detention, Lori makes a deal with Mr. Miller. If she proves Kyle solved the math problem, he'll drop her punishment. He agrees. Meanwhile, Nicole and Steven meet with Principal Hooper, who says Kyle didn't answer any test questions. Kyle explains he didn't know then, but does now. Hooper deems him unfit until Mr. Miller arrives and advocates for Kyle. Hooper allows a retake with just 30 minutes left. Kyle finishes all the exams with 5 minutes to spare. He's approved for private tutoring, but tells Nicole he wants to attend regular classes to better understand people. Outside, Kyle finds Dykeman sitting alone and encourages him, saying, "Being different is good." Moved, Dykeman gives him a superhero drawing of Kyle. That night, Kyle hangs it proudly in his room. As Kyle lies in his bathtub, it is revealed that Foss is watching every move, every moment from his apartment across town. On a stormy night, Kyle dreams of a man in a rain-soaked parka staring through a car window. He jolts awake to find Declan at his rear window in a raincoat, asking to stay the night. Kyle quietly lets him in, and Declan sleeps on the floor. The next morning, Lori finds him and asks what happened. Declan says he had a fight with his dad and claims a bruise on his forehead came from a fall. Lori seems doubtful. She warns him about her parents, and he promises to sneak out. Lori distracts Nicole while Kyle tries to sneak Declan out, but Steven spots them. Declan quickly lies, saying he came to wish Lori a happy birthday. Steven believes him and invites him to breakfast. During the meal, Kyle feels uneasy about lacking memories. Nicole encourages Kyle to take his dreams seriously. He shows her a sketch of the man from the dream and suggests it might be a memory from the stormy night he was found. He asks about using hypnosis, but Nicole urges patience. The power suddenly goes out. Outside, Steven sees footprints by Kyle's window and finds Tom Foss lurking. Foss claims he's checking fuse boxes. Steven, disturbed, mentions Kyle's drawing and the blood smear on the glass, wondering if the dream is real. He asks Foss if the intruder could be back. Foss asks to see the drawing, and they head inside. Declan goes into Lori's room and comforts her about not having a friend on her birthday. She tries to talk to him about the wound to his forehead, but he shuts her down. Kyle is in his room puzzling over his dream when Amanda visits and comforts him, joining him in his tub for a quiet moment together. Tom says he didn't recognize the image and takes it, saying he'll take it to the police in case they identify him. After he leaves, Steven speculates whether Kyle isn't missing and if there are people surveilling him who know his current location. From his patrol car, Foss makes a coded phone call, reporting that Kyle is starting to remember. Back in his apartment, Foss watches video footage of Declan climbing through Kyle's window and recognizes him from a past car crash. Foss starts putting pieces together. He reports on a call that he has found the solution to keep the family from asking more questions. The person replies that if Kyle's memories get clearer, the family is going to become a problem. The group play around with a Ouija board. Kyle asks when his birthday is, and the board slowly spells out 781227. Josh writes it down in his running Kyle file. They go outside when they notice the rain has stopped, which has Kyle confused. The group bickers back and forth about Kyle being an alien when he notices something in the weather and warns them to get back inside. A flash of lightning strikes a flower pot where they would have been standing. They go inside and Declan exclaims that it was weird. The power comes back on. Lori tells Nicole about Kyle finding the numbers in the Ouija board, and she thinks that it might be another memory. Kyle tries to find the meaning of the numbers on the computer, and Josh keeps on joking about him being an alien. But the moment unravels when Kyle breaks down, frustrated that the only clues to his identity seem alien, disconnected from anything real. Nicole talks him down, trying to reassure him. Tom comes in and tells them that there was a hit and run and one of the drivers was missing, and Kyle realizes they were talking about Declan when Nicole mentions the footprints outside his window. Lori overhears and pushes Declan into admitting the truth behind his head injury, and he confesses about the car accident. Amanda comforts him about his memories and tells him about her father. Meanwhile, the parents discuss Kyle, and Declan leaves after resolving to admit about the accident to his father. As evening falls, Kyle joins in on Lori's birthday celebration. It's a rare light moment. Amanda gives him a small, sweet kiss, just as he had secretly hoped. The next morning, while reading the newspaper, Kyle freezes. There's a photo of a missing professor from the University of Washington, Professor Kern. It's the same face he saw in his dream. At the police station, Nicole calls Detective Breen. As he handles the key card from the murder scene, he flips it over and spots a number on the back, 781227. Kyle tries to puzzle out what it means that he saw the man in his dreams. She tells him to go outside and relax for a while, and he goes out to play with Josh. Kyle plays with Josh outside, sinking every throw of the basketball. Charlie tells him he has to try out for the team at school. They are joined by Amanda, who appears to be with Charlie, and they leave hand in hand. Kyle, who is distracted while looking after them, misses the next shot at the hoop. Kyle dresses appropriately with Josh's help to try out for basketball the next day. Lori takes him into the basketball court and has an argument with Hillary. Charlie tries to get the coach to agree to let Kyle onto the team, and he tells him he can't have a new person mid-semester. Declan seems intent on arguing against it as well. They hear the commotion and see Kyle scoring every shot he throws. The family congratulates Kyle on joining the team, and he tells them he's playing in the next game. Nicole shows Steven what she has uncovered in her investigation into the man Kyle keeps seeing in his dreams. Her search leads her to Professor William Kern, a specialist in brain research. She tracks down one of his old books, focused on unlocking untapped regions of the human brain. The more she reads, the more convinced she becomes that Kern is tied to Kyle's origins and possibly the murder linked to the skeleton found in the woods. Foss gets a call while he observes Nicole and Steven through his surveillance cameras and gets a call telling him that the police are making connections. Kyle starts training with the team, and Josh starts a running bet on the team winning the next game with Kyle on it. At home, he gives Kyle tapes to watch and books to read on basketball. Declan and Charlie stop by to give him the playbook from the couch, and Declan apologizes about being harsh on him at practice earlier in the day. Declan is talking to Lori in the kitchen when Hillary shows up. They argue back and forth until Declan decides to leave. Charlie and Declan go out together just as Lori slams the door in Hillary's face. Tom prepares a syringe and his gun while looking at footage of Kyle in his room bouncing a basketball. Kyle picks up the sport effortlessly, analyzing techniques and play styles from books and quickly mastering moves inspired by legends like Michael Jordan. He dunks the ball with a flourish, and Declan, trying to outshine him, tries a maneuver and falls down, favoring his knee. Charlie advises him to rest for the rest of practice, but he persists, saying the coach wouldn't let him play in the game if he did. They're finishing up practice when Lori shows up, and she asks Declan to spend time together when she notices Hillary flirting with him. Tom picks a guy up from a back alley, asking him if he wants to make some money. The man appears suspicious at first, but joins him in the car after he sees a bundle of cash. Nicole's suspicions are confirmed when she sees a breaking news report with Steven identifying the remains found as those of Professor Kern. They watch silently, the mystery deepening. Nicole and Steven decide to tell Kyle the next day, trying not to ruin his excitement about the basketball game. They tell him they'll both be there at the game. Josh tries to encourage Kyle, telling him he has a lot riding on the game. At the game, the coach gives a pep talk before the game, and they play a great game, scoring on the other team repeatedly. In the final minutes of the game, everything got more intense. Kyle got overwhelmed by all the tension in the team and the pressure from the coach. Declan got injured and had a hard time standing up. The coach orders him to play regardless of his injury, and Kyle protests when he is ordered to take his place. The team, in a show of solidarity, all refuse to play and forfeit the game. Nicole goes into the police station asking the detective why they weren't notified when the remains were identified, and he tells her that Kyle has no connection to the victim and hasn't been identified by anyone. She speculates that Kyle might know the killer, and he shows her the photo of a man who died of an overdose. They found the murder weapon with him, and he also happens to be the man who got in the car with Tom Foss. The police tell her that the case is closed. Stephen answers a call for Josh, who is forced to admit that he was running a bet based on the game. Josh snaps at his father for showing more enthusiasm for Kyle's athletic ability than for Josh's usual antics, and they talk to resolve the issue. Lori talks to Hillary and makes a truce with her. Declan came over to thank Kyle, and Kyle tells him he's taking a break from the team when he insists that he join them. That night, Kyle has a dream about the professor where he sees Tom Foss shoot and kill him. Kyle's yearning for the truth about his past grows more urgent by the day, and the Tragers can't help but notice. Hoping to unlock some buried memory, Nicole invites a hypnotist to the house. Under hypnosis, Kyle slips into a vivid trance. In the vision, a man, Professor William Kern, faces the camera before a violent struggle erupts with Tom Foss. It ends with Foss shooting Kern. As the hypnotist guides Kyle deeper, he begins babbling incoherently. Alarmed, Nicole stops the session and insists Kyle be brought out of it immediately. Declan has an opportunity to visit the University of Washington, and Kyle asks him if he can join him to investigate more about Professor Kern. Meanwhile, Stephen assures Nicole that Foss won't be around the neighborhood anymore. Lori offers Kyle to join her to come along with Declan to visit a school, and Nicole agrees, thinking he just wants to visit without knowing about the location. They head to the University of Washington. When they arrive, he tells them that nothing seems familiar. Foss stops by their residence to ask Nicole why they requested to have his detail switched, and she replies that they just didn't feel like it was a good fit. They find Professor Kern's assistant and ask her if she remembers Kyle. She replies that she doesn't and that she does all of the professor's tests. He tells her to test him. He takes all of the tests and exceeds all previous people who have taken the tests. She tells them that Professor Kern would have shared the results. Kyle sees an old photo behind a glass taken 2 decades ago. The resemblance to Kyle is uncanny. Same eyes, same face. The discovery rattles him. Lori asks Stephen for permission to spend the night on campus. Back home, Nicole plays the audio from Kyle's hypnosis over and over, trying to make sense of the gibberish. Josh, half joking, suggests that he must be talking at the wrong speed, and she slows it down. She finds hidden in the noise a clear sequence of letters and numbers. Kyle talks with the professor's assistant about figuring out his identity, while Lori goes exploring with a guy she met on campus. The next day, the assistant comes to the dorm they're staying in and tells Kyle that the student in the picture is named Adam Balin. They ask an old woman in the office about Balin, but she explains he disappeared 20 years ago without a trace. For Kyle, this feels like the first real clue. Who was Adam Balin, and why does Kyle look exactly like him? At home, Stephen tells Nicole that he figured out the numbers they found were coordinates, but when Stephen checks them on View at Earth, the location is blacked out, restricted. Whatever's there, someone doesn't want it seen. Lori confronts Declan about his cool demeanor, and he questions whether she slept with the guy she was with. She tells him that she fell asleep in his room after they talked and tells him he has no right to question her about it since they're just friends. While digging through more of Professor Kern's materials, Kyle uncovers a research paper written by Adam Balin, the same man whose photo he found at the university. The paper includes 2 chillingly familiar things: the mysterious symbol from the key card found near Kern's body, and the exact coordinates Nicole had decoded from Kyle's hypnosis session. Lori gets a call from Stephen, who has figured out where they are, and she tells them about what they have found. He discourages them from going to the location of the coordinates, and she agrees to come back. She tells Kyle and Declan what she's been ordered and goes to the bathroom. Foss overhears the phone conversation and runs out of the room. Kyle, driven by the growing urgency to understand who or what he really is, sets out for the location with Declan. But once they arrive, Kyle insists on continuing alone. Lori calls Declan angry that they left, and he hangs up the phone, telling her they're at the place. Kyle hikes through the wooded area until he reaches a heavily secured fence topped with barbed wire. As he attempts to climb it, a masked figure yanks him down. The two briefly struggle, but Kyle quickly gets the upper hand. He rips off the mask and finds himself staring into the eyes of Tom Foss. Foss, calm despite the confrontation, delivers a warning. The man Kyle saw in his dream, Kern, isn't who he believes he is. He tells Kyle to stop digging and stop asking questions, or the people he cares about, including the Tragers, will suffer the consequences. He tells him to go and never come back. Declan asks him what he saw, but he tells him that he found nothing. They come back home, and he tells them that there were only trees. He takes responsibility for going there, so the others wouldn't get into trouble, and shuts down other questions, saying that it doesn't matter to his life now. Kyle confides in Declan when he asks him what happened in the woods, and he gives his word not to say anything. Lori comes out and shares a kiss with Declan. As the episode closes, a hidden camera watches over the exact area where Kyle and Foss had their encounter. The footage is transmitted to a high-tech facility filled with technicians and surveillance equipment. One of them rewinds the recording to show Kyle trying to climb the fence. A superior watching intently mutters the number 781227. Then stunned, he says aloud, "He's alive!" In the facility, two people discuss Kyle in terms of his number, and the woman tells him that he was scheduled to be terminated 2 months ago. She asks him how he survived and left the place. He tells her that he's looking into it. She orders him to be found and says the company can't afford to have someone like him in the outside world. Kyle reads the lips of Lori and Hillary outside and tells Josh what they're saying when he wonders what they're talking about. The people in the facility speculate that his abilities will raise questions if he isn't found quickly, and she orders him to remove Kyle. After Tom Foss's threat in the woods, Kyle reluctantly decides to back off. The cost of digging too deep now feels too high, but Nicole, still believing the truth is essential to Kyle's identity, gently encourages him not to give up. Declan comes to the house to meet Lori and tells Kyle that he can't trust what Foss says. Kyle finds Josh trying to eavesdrop on his parents' conversation and tries to listen in. He can hear what they are saying but decides not to eavesdrop and leaves. The man at the facility discovers Foss's identity, and the woman tells him to follow him for the time being. Josh tells Kyle to attempt to hear from a distance by focusing while they sit outside. He tunes out noises and discovers he has an enhanced sense of hearing. He tells Josh he can't hear anything, not to let on to the way he has figured out to spy on Foss. Nicole talks to Steven about how Kyle has stopped wanting to find out who he is and has regressed. She tells him that he won't talk to her or his therapist, insisting that he wants to put the past behind him, and he tries to comfort her. Kyle talks to Declan about his newfound hearing abilities in surveilling Foss, and Declan cancels his plans with Lori to help him. Kyle and Declan go to Tom's workplace and ask for information on his residence and manage to get it out of the receptionist. Cyrus Reynolds, the man from the agency, tails Foss and is on the phone when Foss gets into the passenger seat with a gun pointed at him. Cyrus tells him that if he kills him, they'll just send someone else in his place to the subject. Foss argues that he isn't a subject and warns him to stay away from him. Declan and Kyle go to Foss's residence. They walk up to the door, and Kyle tries to hear through the door. He hears Nicole and Lori having a conversation, which Foss was listening to through the surveillance camera. They hide when he comes out. Back at home, Josh is overwhelmed by the pressure of his slipping grades. Steven reassures him that it'll be all right. Meanwhile, Kyle and Declan break into Foss's apartment after he leaves. They find the camera footage on his screen and see Lori asking Hillary about whom she's sleeping with, suspecting that it is Declan, but she denies it. They hear Foss at the door and run out of there in a hurry. Foss comes in and notices the screens are on and starts to look for an intruder. He sees them running from his window. Cyrus spots Kyle and reports to his superior, telling her he's not alone. She tells him to find a moment and do it. He follows after them. Josh celebrates passing his exams, and his parents congratulate him. Nicole mentions that Kyle said he's going to the carnival with Declan. Declan meets up with Lori at the carnival where he was with Kyle. Cyrus is about to make his move when Kyle is approached by Charlie and Amanda. Amanda goes on one of the rides with Kyle. Meanwhile, Declan tells Lori they were doing something personal and tells her to trust him. Kyle overhears from afar that Declan is telling Charlie to come clean about Hillary to Amanda. Kyle overhears Foss's conversation with Cyrus, who tells him that he should have terminated him a long time ago. Cyrus tells him that he's caused a lot of problems for the company and hits him when Foss warns Cyrus to leave Kyle alone. Cyrus aims at Kyle just as the strain of hearing from afar overtakes Kyle, and he falls to the floor, having a seizure. The doctor tells them that he'll be fine and that his brain activity is normal. Kyle lies and tells them there was nothing he did before the seizure. Meanwhile, Cyrus is on the phone with his superior, implying that he bought off the doctor, and she tells him that they'll get to him next time. Declan tells Kyle that he should tell his family about Foss and the other man. Nicole tells Steven in the hallway that the detective called with some news and goes in to see Kyle. Nicole tells him that she has failed in helping him, and he replies that she hasn't. He's about to tell her everything when he's interrupted by a nurse. Lori stumbles across a painful discovery. She catches Charlie cheating on Amanda with Hillary. Torn between loyalty to Amanda and her own sense of betrayal, Lori is unsure what to do. Then everything flips. A couple claiming to be Kyle's biological parents arrive at the hospital and call him Noah. After the unnerving incident at the carnival, a couple, David and Julie Peterson, show up at the hospital claiming to be Kyle's biological parents. They present a story of a long-lost son and back it up with a photo album filled with snapshots of a supposed childhood. But Kyle isn't convinced. Something about their timing, their story, and even the photos feels too polished, too convenient. Kyle approaches the hidden camera Foss keeps and shakes it, asking him who these people were. He goes into the living room and asks the couple many questions. Despite the growing uncertainty, life carries on. Kyle and Josh attend Amanda's Catholic confirmation. Josh is still clumsily chasing Ashley Redmond, while Kyle quietly gives Amanda a thoughtful gift. Later, he corners Charlie and without anger tells him that he knows about Hillary and urges him to be honest with Amanda before she gets hurt. Declan also remains skeptical of the Petersons and works with Kyle to piece the puzzle together. Amanda, sensing Kyle's emotional weight, visits him at home and joins him in his usual comfort zone, his bathtub. She doesn't press. She just sits and talks, trying to be there for him. When the DNA test comes back with a match, the Traegers are shaken, but Kyle stands his ground. He tells them that while biology may tie him to someone else, they are the only family he knows, and he doesn't plan to leave. Still needing space, Kyle wanders off to a church where he sits alone in a quiet pew. There, a stranger joins him, a calm, kind-eyed man who says just enough to rattle Kyle's guarded sense of reality. He tells Kyle someone out there cares deeply for him and that answers are coming, but danger isn't far behind. Cyrus Reynolds, acting under deadly orders, is watching and waiting. While Kyle walks alone through a park, Cyrus moves in for the kill, but someone else gets there first. An unseen attacker grabs Kyle from behind and knocks him out with chloroform. When Kyle wakes, he's back in the woods, rain falling, darkness pressing in. Another flash surfaces, Kern aiming a gun at Foss, but he pulls the trigger first. It's the truth Kyle wasn't ready to see. Foss, wounded and breathing heavily, is beside him, having survived Cyrus's shot. Kyle bombards him with questions about Adam Balin, the symbol, and his identity. Foss, bleeding but defiant, finally starts to reveal more. Kyle's past isn't just strange, it's part of something vast, hidden, and dangerously unfinished. After his tense encounter with Tom Foss, Kyle returns home and shocks the Traegers by saying he believes the Petersons really are his parents. To back it up, he shares a detailed memory of a childhood trip to Hawaii when he was 9. It sounds convincing. Kyle tells them he'll be leaving with them tomorrow. The following day, Declan hosts a farewell party at his pool, though the mood is anything but festive. Declan presses Kyle, clearly doubting the story. Hillary lashes out at Charlie, still bitter over his betrayal. Amanda, holding back tears, tells Kyle it isn't goodbye, just see ya, and gives him a final lingering hug. Josh and Steven stay mostly silent, their emotions barely contained. Nicole, trying to stay composed, says she's glad Kyle found his family and his memories, but her eyes betray the loss she feels. Just before leaving, Kyle shares personal moments with each member of the Traeger family. He hugs Nicole tightly, his voice quiet. He tells Declan he left something for him upstairs. Once the car pulls away, Nicole sees the photo they took together at Lori's birthday party and finally breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, Declan finds the box Kyle mentioned. Inside, an old magazine with a Hawaii travel ad, a postcard from Maui, and a toy sailboat. The truth clicks. Kyle never remembered the trip. He faked it. The Petersons aren't his family. He left the clues for Declan to uncover. In the Petersons' car, Kyle turns to them and says plainly, "You're good liars." They nod. "It's our job," one replies. Their mission was never about truth. It was about removal and containment. Elsewhere, Foss, still injured, makes a secure call. He updates his contact, the urgency in his voice clear. In Kyle's memory, Foss's words echo. Kyle has no memories before the forest because he didn't exist before that night. The car pulls up to a secured private compound. Inside, Kyle is brought to a waiting man, the calm stranger from the church, Adam Balin, the man who may hold the key to everything. Meanwhile, in a different corner of this shadowy operation, Cyrus speaks with a woman named Rebecca Thatcher. She refers to Kyle, subject 781227, not as a failed experiment, but as a breakthrough. He survived in the outside world. She assures Cyrus that she'll take care of 781227 and Adam. Then she adds chillingly that 781228 is in excellent condition. The season ends inside a lab. Suspended in a glowing chamber of pink fluid, a second subject floats, female, perfectly still. The label reads XX and 781228.